Okay, so here's our array, 4, 7, 5, 6, 3, and we want this sorted so that the smallest items are on the left. In other words, we want it sorted so the array would eventually look 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How are we going to do that? We're going to use bubble sort. It's called bubble sort because light elements float to the top, a little bit like in a glass of champagne. I'm not a very good drawer, but if you have a glass of champagne, the bubbles go to the top because the air is lighter, and that's why it's called bubble sort. You might find it easier if we rearrange this array to look vertical rather than horizontal. And remember, the light elements are bubbling up to the top. And what we do is we compare these two items. And once we've compared those two items, then we compare these, and then after that we compare these, and then after that we compare these two here. So we're basically comparing them sort of in order, if you like. So let's start that off. So 4 and 7, well, 4 is already lighter than 7, so we don't need to swap these around. And then we go to this one, 5 and 7. The 5 is lighter than the 7, so we need to swap those around, 5 and 7. And then we carry on. So we now compare the 7 and the 6. 6 is lighter, so the 6 goes up there and the 7 down there. And finally, our last comparison is this one. The 3 is lighter than the 7, so the 3 would go there and the 7 there. And this has the effect of the heaviest item dropping to the bottom, and therefore this is now sorted. This part of the array, this bottom part, is now sorted. And now the algorithm starts off again from the top and compares again. Well, 4 is lighter than 5, so there's no need to swap. 5 is lighter than 6, no need to swap. But 3 is lighter than 6, so the 3 and the 6 will swap over, meaning that this now is also sorted. Notice that the heaviest item is dropping to the unsorted part of the bottom of the list here. Start again. 4 and 5. Well, 4 is still lighter than 5. Then we compare the 5 and the 3. 3 is lighter, so the 3 and the 5 swap over. And then this becomes sorted. Now we do our final comparison. 3 is lighter than 4, so 3 goes to the top. 4, this becomes sorted. And now we've only got one item left, and therefore this is also considered sorted. And now we've got our order correct, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And instead of writing it vertically, we write it like this, and we get our solution. So that's the algorithm and how it works. You might like to try perhaps your own array and get them sorted, or perhaps the class might want to line up in random order, and you use the algorithm and sort yourselves into descending or ascending height order.